Hi, this is Dr. Richard Downs with Sleep Balance Academy, and I have on the line with me Neil Freidman, who is the founder of Body Metrics and COO of the company. Is that right, Neil?
That is correct.
How
You
long have
said
you
it
been
properly.
in, how long have you been in business with Circle Plus?
Well, Circle Plus was not our first product, actually.
Yes.
Body Metrics, which is the mother company, or if I
Okay.
could say that to you, is 7.5 years old.
7.5. Okay, great.
We really got involved in the area where you're specifically working in the blood oxygen area, about 4.5 years ago.
I see. Well, I'm only familiar with the ring. I have my original Circle ring here.
Right?
And this is the large size. I use this almost every night to monitor the progress of my oral sleep appliance and the different things that I do to manage my airway. So it's been invaluable to me. And I use it frequently for titration of oral sleep appliances and any other kind of a treatment that I might give a patient. So it's a perfect titration tool.
Good.
But you've had some news because the newer ring is called Circle Plus, right?
Correct.
And so why is that different from this one, Neil?
That's a good question for
Yeah.
everyone to find out who's
Yeah.
going to watch this. Okay, the original iteration, or the first Circle, as Rick has pointed out that he's wearing, does continuous blood oxygen and continuous heart rate, and obviously does a good job of it.
Yes.
The new Circle Plus does, and it's a little bit of a different form factor than what Rick was showing you, whereas there's an extension on the ring.
Yeah.
Okay, so the SpO2 monitor has been moved out there. And then on the back side here, we have another sensor that we didn't have before. And these two sensors, this sensor here takes blood pressure and 1-lead ECG.
Mhm.
So the new Circle Plus does continuous blood oxygen, continuous heart rate, i.e. like the original Circle.
Mhm.
In addition, it does continual finger temperature. In another 4 weeks, it will have heart rate variability continuously. And it does, as I mentioned before, the blood pressure and the oxygen. Of course, there are certain cases where the original works better than the Circle Plus and may not be necessary. And there is a price difference or incentive to go either way, how you might want to go.
Right.
One thing that I'd like to say, and everybody to understand, is that our manufacturing partner is really a think tank.
Mhm.
And the greatest, we manufacture in China. The chief medical officer of the Chinese manufacturer is a fellow by the name of Dr. Han. And Dr. Han is the head of pulmonary and sleep science at the Beijing University, which is the largest hospital in China. He has also been educated at the University of Pennsylvania and is the secretary of the World Sleep Association. And this is really providing me a good segue into some of the new news that I want to tell you about.
Yes.
And on our board, we have several pulmonologists, right? And the most prominent pulmonologist we have on our board is actually the most prominent pulmonologist in the world, and that's Dr. Mayer Krieger. And Dr. Mayer Krieger is considered the father of sleep. His book for the last 35 years has been read by every student in medical school in their pulmonary classes. And he is the foremost authority on sleep. And then where I'm going with you and wanting to explain an exciting event that's happened is that we just got a new trial of over 200 people from a new trial of 200 people where we're measuring the Circle Plus against a PSG. It happens to be a Konica one, which is a Japanese brand, right? And one that's used quite a bit all over the world. And it's measuring it against the Konica. And the results are that we are pretty much exactly like them. And we do an ODI, and our ODI scale actually works within their AHI scale. So we are spot on. What are the implications of this? Number one, we're going to change the entire sleep world, because what it's saying is you now can use this and you don't have to be wired.
Right.
But bigger than that, I want everybody to understand, because everybody here is obviously working for that same goal, is the the breadth of the trial is incredible, but the most significant thing is the 3 signatures on the trial. And the 3 signatures on the trial, which will be printed probably likelihood in the next 4 months in the Journal of Sleep Medicine, will be Dr. Hahn, will be Dr. Meyer Krieger, and will be Dr. Thomas Penzel, who is from the Charité in Berlin, which is the largest teaching university in Western Europe, and actually in today's release of the Newsweek best hospitals in the world, it's rated number 5.
Wow.
And when we're going to have a report out there with the signatures of those 3 gentlemen, you might say in baseball terms, we have murderous row of pulmonary science. Now, I want to talk to you about another subject that I think is equally or more important.
Yeah, you mentioned it to me before.
Right, and it's the world of pigmentation.
Right.
And I think that all of us have got to be conscious and aware of it because it's very, very significant. First of all, it's been known for 40 years quietly that there's a pigmentation problem in oximetry.
Yes.
And in December of 2020, the University of Michigan printed a paper that was published in the New England Journal of Medicine that read non-intended racial discrimination. Yeah. And in that paper, they stated that over 10% of African-American people who bought the finger clip oximeters that you buy at a Walmart or Walgreens or CVS are inaccurate and read them incorrectly. And of course, many people died from it. Additionally, after that report came out, the New York Times had a major story on that, and CNN did a piece, and then 3 senators from the United States wrote to the FDA, again talking about non-intended racial discrimination. Senator Wyden from Oregon, Booker from New Jersey, and Warren from Massachusetts wrote that letter to the FDA, and frankly, the FDA had a very, very poor response. And this thing is blowing up. And I will tell you that in November of 2021, it blew up in the United Kingdom. And the Secretary of Health of the United Kingdom launched an investigation into the death of Black people. The pigmentation problem is not just Black. It's from Chinese to Black. We're talking over 60% of the population of the world may be getting wrong oximetry readings. We have shown the circle ring to have no pigmentation problem. First question is why, right? Well, it's part of the form factor of the circle ring. So as Rick showed you the ring, it's like this. And of course, any of you that had it, or if you don't, what happens is it's a half, like a crescent or a half moon on top. And then we have 2 vertical drawdowns. Right. And then there's actually the ability to extend the drawdowns. Right. And then what ends up happening is it affixes to the belly of your finger. Right. This side of your finger, the palm side of your finger, right. The non-pigment sided of your finger, not the pigment sided of your finger. And the way that you check for pigmentation problems is by using blood gases, okay? And we are going to be presenting to the FDA clinical proof, which they've seen already, that the circle ring has no pigmentation problem. Currently, just to let you know, the problem is so severe in the United Kingdom, and the investigation is going on, that we are entering into an NHS trial, urgent trial on the circle ring. So that will be happening also immediately. And lastly,
Circle Plus, right?
The Circle Plus, yeah, yes. And lastly, we will be approved by the FDA for medical use 510K by mid-May. So those are some of the exciting things that are going on.
510 allow people to do. Will this become an actual HST?
Yeah, so will. And I'll have definitive proof in another 2 weeks, but we believe so.
Okay. that would be really big news to have this be such a class 3 as HST.
Well, we know the question that will have to be presented to the HST, for the FDA, just talking out loud, right? Is we will have the clinical proof that we do the same thing as a PSG.
Yes.
They possibly may want us to do a respiratory monitoring at the same time, even though our ring does that. And we are working with a company that has a disposable nasal cannula, right? That you'd be able to tie together, and we'd absolutely be a class 3 at that point. That device is FDA approved. Right.
So we'll be able to know this a little bit more about this in a couple of weeks, and for sure, 3 to 4 months from now, your approval will become final.
Right. Let me just say one thing to everybody. Yesterday, I can't say because I'm under confidentiality.
Right.
Okay. Yesterday, I worked with the largest CRO, or what you would call clinical company in the world. It's $25 billion, 60,000 employees. And their reaction was stunning in the conversation, because the reality is, with the pigmentation problem, every trial is wrong.
That's right.
Right. And it may be the same case in the dental world. And I also want to point out, and I don't mean this discriminately, I think a significant portion of your customer base is pigmented.
Of course. Of course.
So that's a differentiator for you.
Yes, it is. I think it's a differentiator for your ring over anything else out there. There's nobody doing what you're doing and has the clinical studies to back up what they're doing, because you're going to have a non-discriminatory screening test for all human beings. And I think that's probably one of the most important things that I've ever learned from you, Neil, is that I didn't even know that was an issue until you brought it to my attention. And yes, non-discriminatory or non-intentional discrimination has taken place because of the initial trials were done on Caucasians.
Right.
Correct? Okay.
Correct.
So anyway, I appreciate that. I want to show people real quick before I let you go, but I want to show them a real quick place where they can get the Circle and the Circle Plus. So let me just share my screen real quick. And if you go to Sleep Balance Academy, and here's the Circle Plus. So it's sleepbalanceacademy.com store. There's the Circle Plus. We can get them in bulk. This is mainly a site for professionals, not for consumers. And then, of course, the older Circle ring is over here. We have them in bulk orders and single orders.
Just so you know, also, we could, if you stay here for a second, the one on the left is the Red Dot Award.
Yes.
And we won the Red Dot Award between 3,000 different devices. It's an engineering award. And it won it because of the form factor and that expansion and
well, I've noticed when I wear the ring, Neil, that it doesn't rotate on my finger because
I want to bring up a very, very good point, if I may.
Yeah.
Okay. Reality is that you're all hearing about the Aura ring. Okay. Aura is a company that has been terrific for us, to be honest with you, because they've made the consumer aware that they can take it off the wrist and put it on the finger.
Right.
Okay. Now, here's a statement. If you want to follow up, I'll be more than glad to follow up with you. First of all, when we think of wearables, we think of activity. Okay.
Right.
Number one. Also, wrist wearables do not record properly, because the key to all this technology, okay, is the stability of the sensor. So if you have a watch, it's moving. Okay.
Right.
Now Aura has made the consumer aware that they move to the ring, to the finger.
Right.
But I will tell you that if you wear an Aura ring, you have the same problem, because it's a ring, it moves.
Right.
So that the Circle ring, I call it a ring, but it's more like a nut.
That's correct.
Like a screw in a nut.
Yes.
And that's the way it fixates and stabilizes the sensor on the belly of the finger. Yeah. By the way, that is all patented.
Yes. So that's exactly right, Neil. I've been enthusiastic about this ring and promoting it to my dentist and chiropractic offices for a couple of years now. The product just gets better, and the science on it gets better all the time.
Right.
So I appreciate that. Thank you, Neil. I wanted to make sure that people got this news, and we're going to be intently looking for more of the results of this breakthrough in the study in the near few weeks to several weeks. I appreciate your being online with me with Sleep Balance Academy.
Pleasure. And if anybody needs any corroboration of anything I said, please feel free to contact Rick and we'll get it to you.
The science is there. That's exactly
the science is there.